one thing was for sure. They both believed Sparks to be a total tool.
Be an exciting contest which shows that divorced couples can still have fun together, right?
Mythological hero H-list. C. On the spot dice spin.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
One of the questions I get asked often about game show garbage is what are some of my favorite game shows of all time? Well, the answer changes depending on my mood and what I watched recently on YouTube or off of a DVD. But one of the constants on that list is MTV's classic game show, Remote Control.
Remote Control. And now it's his basement, his rules, his spanking game show. The Quizmaster 72 whooping, top lane, Ken Ober.
As a big TV buff, I loved the show growing up. It was a fun, engaging show that was dressed up to be a parody of a game show, having a host who was living out his dream, hosting a game show in the confines of his parents' basement, and turned out to be a big success until the 4th season. One of the major catalysts of the show's humor and fandom in Kari Wuhrer would leave the show, thus opening the door for Alicia Coppola to take over. Not only that, the show would also have a syndicated version that doubled the workload of an already weary and overworked team of Ken Ober, Colin Quinn, Steve Tracase, and Jonathan Ayek. But then season 5 hit in 1990. After garnering negative reviews for being very boring, unlikable, and overall being very bad, Alicia would be replaced by the bubbly and much better Susan Ashley. While she was an improvement, the demeanor of Colin, and especially Ken, would get very negative because both were being courted by other places to do different projects. You could tell in certain episodes that Colin and Ken would rather do anything else than host and announce another episode of Remote Control. Now I'll get more in-depth when it comes to Season 4 and Season 5 when I do Remote Control for the Games of the Night, which will probably be in the summer. But I want to talk about the last episodes of the show and how much of a downer it was. Now, the last episodes for Remote Control were taking place in Daytona Beach during MTV's spring break time. And Ken Ober was not there. The reason he was not there because he was busy doing Parenthood for NBC. So Colin Quinn would have to step in as host.
Now it's time for the man we all love. It's his pool, it's his beat, and it's his show. The Grand Mystic Rule of Daytona Beach, Colin Quinn.
While Colin Quinn was great as a sidekick to Ken Ober, as a host, he left a lot to be desired. My main problem with Colin the host is that he really didn't give the viewers anything rather than someone begrudgingly filling in for his friend. I'm starting to think that Colin himself was just tired of the show and putting on a really brave face. Judging him solely on the last shows, he wanted to get them over and done with, mainly because his first show would have him go on a long rant about Ed Begley Jr. and how Colin was always there for Ken. And the second one was just plain weird that could be only described as series finale emotions. As for who replaced Colin doing the announcing for these shows, you actually got MC Hammer on one episode, and the boys from UMTV Raps, i.e. Dr. Dre and Ed Lover, on the finale. Both were adequate and really didn't add that much to the show though. But then again, this was their Daytona shows, and that meant almost anything goes. Now we get to the gameplay of the last 2 episodes, and what I want to focus on is how truncated everything was in the finale. There are only 2 questions in each channel, save for the special ones where there are only 1. This reeked of getting the show over and done with, and on the flip side, getting everybody who's worked so hard on the show as the characters such as Dennis Leary, Adam Sandler, Jonathan Ayek some valuable airtime. Before closing up shop, of course. While I can appreciate that, it just goes to show how sad the show had become. I guess that's the way the world works when something becomes mainstream out of being counterculture. A great example is The Simpsons, when it was counterculture in the early 90s, and then it got to become one of Fox's standard bearers. It then became the mainstream, and as you know it now, being utter garbage. The same thing was pretty much with Remote Control. While it was really good in seasons 1 and 2, it then became mainstream, and it got really bad during the syndicated run and season 5. I guess it's the price you pay for success. What's also sad is how lost everyone was. Colin would often miss his cues for categories or anything like that, and so would Ed and Dre on the finale. The only people that stayed sharp were Adam Sandler, Jonathan Iake, and Dennis Leary. It reminded me of a story a friend told me about Bob Dylan performing live. 30 years ago, he was great, but nowadays he struggles finding the right chords and words to the point where it's just depressing. And it's true here. The final stanza of the show starts with one of the lowest forms of humor, a dick joke.
9 videos, blah, blah, blah. Let me move this a little for you. It's really protruding. Pretty good for you. You don't need the grand prize. You already have it. Okay.
Give me a Woody.
And on your mark.
And to get back to heartfelt, the show wraps up with the contestant winning the last bonus game and Colin listing off a lot of the staff over the years before getting cut off by the fee plugs.
What more can you ask for? On behalf of Ace, Dre, Susan, Sandy, Larry, Tanak, wherever they are, Ken Ola, and me name, Colin Quinn, Lauren, Dugan, Kenny, Leslie, everybody, Lola, Chris Kelly, Jenna Roscato, Eddie, here's an Italian name, Preston, Jackie, I got...
And that would be the last time a new episode of Remote Control would air. It would last a couple more years in reruns before finally being put to pasture in 1991. All I could say about Remote Control's final days is that it was just sad to watch. There was no charm to the show anymore, just become an exercise in being there for the check. So much so that Ken would rather act in a really bad NBC sitcom than finish what he was good at, hosting his own game show. It should be said that while lethargic in quality during the last season, Remote Control launched a lot of careers, especially Adam Sandler, Dennis Leary, Kari Warner, and Colin Quinn. Oddly enough, neither would do another game show. Ken Ober hosted a few more shows and produced several others, notably Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn before his untimely death in 2009. Next time out on Game Show Grabs, we're going to take a look at one of the biggest rip-offs in game show history, and it took one of the freshest concepts in game show history down with it. Bye-bye!